Hey guys, welcome to day 3. Today we're going to learn how to combine like terms, and we're also going to be using the distributive property. So like terms are terms that have the same variable with the same exponent. Okay, so this is important. Okay, I'll give you a little example. If I had a term, let's write out the term 4x squared. Okay, 4 is actually known as the coefficient, and you can kind of see that in the example here. It's the number before the variable. 4 is multiplied by x. X is actually the variable. Okay, the letter is the variable, and then the exponent is the small number next to the x. So in this case, it's a 2 or squared. So this term reads 4x squared. Like terms would be if I took a 4x squared and I wanted to add a 3x squared. Notice they have the same variables and the same exponents. So they're like, I can put them together. When I put them together, I add them. 4 plus 3 is 7. And then the x squared would stay the same. Okay, so combining like terms actually involves adding and subtracting. All right, let's write that in. The like terms. I'm running out of space. So in the example I'm going to give you example, let's see, 2x squared, okay, plus 3x plus 4y squared minus x, okay, plus 10 plus 3x squared. Okay, so we got some different variables, we've got some different exponents. The first thing I'm going to do is look for I go with the highest exponent, all right? So I'm looking for the square. So I've got 2x squared. I'm going to box that in. Now see how 3x is not a like term because it's not squared. 4y squared is not a like term. But if I go to the end here, 3x squared is a like term. I'm going to add 2x squared and 3x squared, and I just add the coefficients, or those numbers, because we're adding. 2 plus 3 is 5, so this would become 5x squared. All right, going down in exponents, so the next one I see is 4y squared, but I don't see that I have anything to combine it with, so I'm just going to write plus 4y squared. All right, now with my x's, I've got 3x. Okay, so notice when I make my shape around it to combine them, I'm putting it in front of the sign, because where it says plus 3x, I'm thinking of that as like a positive 3x, and then minus x is like a negative x. So 3x minus x is actually 2x. So that would be plus 2x there. All right, and then the constant is usually at the very end, and I only have one constant, so it's just going to stay as a plus 10. Okay, so that's kind of a little bit of the basics. So let's start doing some examples. It should make some more sense when you start seeing them. All right, I've got 5a and 3a and 6. So my like terms here would be 5a and then a positive 3a. Okay, 5 plus 3 is 8, so we get 8a plus 6. Okay, that's my answer. We're not solving them. We can't. They're only expressions. They're not equations. So we're just simplifying. Okay, it doesn't say solve. It just says to simplify. All right, and number 2, I'm going to look at my examples. I've got a negative 11w squared, and I've got a negative 7w squared. So I look at the coefficients, negative 11 minus 7. I use my knowledge of integers, and this would become plus a negative. This is actually a negative 18. So a negative 18, and don't forget the w squared. Okay, that's going to stay the same. Okay, my other terms, I have a 3x, so I'm just going to add the 3x. There's nothing I can combine it with, and then the minus 9. Nothing to combine that constant with. So there's my answer. All right, number 3, I'm going to take 4y squared. I'm going to combine it with a negative 8y squared. Again, I look at the coefficients. 4 minus 8 is a negative 4. So a negative 4y squared. Now I'm going to do my 3x. I've got a negative 3x, and then I've got a positive 3x. Well, if I look to the coefficients, negative 3 plus 3, I get 0. So actually, these cancel out, because if I had 0x, that's the same as 0. So they just cancel out. Now my constant is 7 minus 1. That's going to be a positive 6. So I write it like that. All right, so in algebra, we try to avoid any double signs. I mean, you don't want to write adding a negative, you just want to subtract. Okay, so we're getting away from having double signs. All right, here we've got a 17x minus an x. So if there's no number in front of the x, the coefficient's actually 1. So that's like 17 minus 1, which is 16x. Okay, we don't have any y's to combine with, so it's just a negative y, and we don't have any additional constants, so it's just plus 12. All right. Okay, looking at number 5, first glance, I look at my highest exponent. I've got 3x to the fourth, and I've got a negative 5x to the fourth. These are like terms. My coefficient is a 3 and a negative 5. 3 minus 5 is a negative 2, so this becomes negative 2x to the fourth. All right, now I do have some constants that I can combine. A negative 12 minus 16. Negative 12 minus 16 gives me a negative 28. So this is going to be minus 28. And that would be my answer. All right, number 6, we've got a negative x and a negative 8x. Negative 1 minus 8 is negative 9, so this becomes negative 9x. And then we've got a negative 7 minus 12, which is a negative 19. So this would be negative 9x minus 19. So see how it's important that we did that quick review of integers on day 1? We are using them, and we will be all year. Okay, so number 7, we're going to take our 4x minus our x, and we're going to get 4 minus 1, which is 3, and that's how we get our 3x. And then our 5, let's do a box around the 5, and a positive 20 would be 25. All right, number 8, okay, we've got 10x to the third. And we've got minus 8x to the third. 10 minus 8 is 2, so 2x to the third. And then we just have the 8x squared left over. There we go. Okay. All right. So looking at, we're actually going to try, 9 and 10. Why don't you pause the video and try them? Okay. And then as soon as you're done trying them, come on back and you can compare them to the answer that I get. All right. So this one would be 8x squared. There's nothing to combine that with, but I do have a 2x and a 2x, so I have 4x, and then I have a negative 8 minus 3 is minus 11, so I get a negative 11. All right, here we've got 8x, we've got a positive 3x, and then we also have a negative 1, so that's like saying 8 plus 3 minus 1, so that's going to give you 10x. And then you have your negative 4 plus 10, so negative 4 plus 10 is 6. So hopefully you got those two answers. All right, moving on, we're going to learn how to distribute, but before that, I want to make sure you understand multiplying. Okay, so if I have a number next to a variable, and if it's in parentheses, if I multiply 4 times x, it's just going to be 4x, okay, and that's how we write it. We don't write it with the parentheses, okay? But if I have a negative 2 next to the 8x squared, we're actually going to multiply the coefficients. So a negative 2 times 8 is negative 16, okay? And then we just write the variable and the exponent, which is 18x squared, okay? So that would be our answer. And we're going to need this as we go into distributing, okay? So to distribute, we want to distribute the number outside, okay, to each of the terms on the inside of the parentheses. All right, and that will make sense when I do some examples. All right, these. All right, so there's our parentheses. So for example, if I had a times b plus c, that's the same as taking my a times my b and multiplying it and adding with a times c. Okay, or if I had a times b minus c, all right, instead I would have a times b minus a times c. Okay. All right, so we're going to use this distributive property, which you've learned about in the past, and we're going to write equivalent expressions, and then we're going to simplify. So what that means is we're going to get it to the point where we, if we have any like terms, we need to add them together, okay, or subtract them. All right, so we're going to start out easy. We're not going to have to combine like terms. We're just going to take the 4 times the x and the 4 times the 3. Okay, so everything on the outside of the parentheses times everything on the inside. This becomes 4x, and 4 times 3 is 12. Nothing to combine, so our final answer is 4x plus 12. All right, number 14. We've got negative 2 times 3, okay, plus, or you can just say a minus 2 times a negative x. And this is important that you write that down, okay? Because negative 2 times 3 is negative 6, but a negative 2 times a negative x is actually a positive. All right, so you get your positive 2x. All right, I always like to write my expressions with the constant at the end, starting at the highest exponent. So I just take the positive 2x, write it first, and then minus 6, okay? So you just flip the order there. All right. Number 15 looks kind of weird, but there's a negative on the outside of the parentheses. That's just like having a negative 1. All right. So it's really taking that negative 1 and multiplying it by 2. All right. And then taking that negative 1 and multiplying it by a negative y. This one would become negative 2. And don't forget, a negative times a negative is a positive. Negative 1 times negative y is just positive y. And I'm going to rewrite that again. Remember, I like my constants to be at the end. This would be y minus 2. All right. 16 is going to get a little more complicated because we're going to actually, if you notice, the number that's multiplied is in the middle of this expression. So the 2x is just going to be written out to the side. We're then going to distribute a negative 3 times 3x, and then a negative 3 times our 4, okay? So we just took this negative 3 here and here. I'll do it down below. Now when I multiply, all right, the 2x comes down, and negative 3 times positive 3 is a negative 9x, and then negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. Okay, 2x minus the 9x is going to be negative 7x, and then minus 12. So there's your answer there, okay? All right, now we're distributing, but we have a fraction. It's fine, okay? It works the same way. We're taking 1/2, multiplying it by 6y, and then we're taking 1/2 and multiplying it by negative 12. 1/2 of 6 is 3, so we get 3y, and 1/2 of negative 12 is negative 6. So there's our answer. All right. Now the rest of them, you might want to pause the video and just try some and see how it works. Okay, I'm going to continue on and I'm going to do them out. 12y minus 10y plus 35. Okay, so sometimes I might stop with that middle step, but I just took 5 times 2y, and that's how I got my negative 10y, and then negative 5 times negative 7 is 35. 12y minus 10y is 2y. 2y plus 35 is my answer. All right. Okay, number 19, I kind of wrote over that a little bit. Let's look at that. There it is. Okay, we've got z's here. So be careful with z's because a lot of times the z variable looks like 2's. All right, so 2 times 3z, and what I do with my z's is I put a little line through it. Okay, minus 2 times 4. This would become 6z minus 8. Okay, here it looks weird, but again, there's that little tricky negative right in front of the parentheses. That means you've got to distribute a negative 1. 4y, and then this would be minus y, and a negative 1 times a negative 4 is actually a positive 4. Now we combine our like terms, we get 3y plus 4. All right, 21, we're distributing the fraction 1/3, so this would be 1/3 times negative 12. Plus 1/3 times 3x, then plus our 8x minus 4. 1/3 times negative 12 is a negative 4. Okay, 1/3 times 3x is just going to be an x. And then we have our plus 8x minus 4. Now we can combine our like terms. Our x plus our 8x is 9x, and negative 4 minus 4 is minus 8. All right, 22 looks weird because actually we are distributing, but it's on the right side instead of the left side. So we're taking this negative 3, multiplying it by the 4x and the negative 2. So I'm going to write that out. We've got negative 3 times 4x plus a negative 3 times a negative 2. Okay, and then we're going to subtract a 2. Remember, I don't like those double signs. If you add a negative, it's the same as just subtracting. This becomes negative 12x plus 6 minus 2, and then we simplify negative 12x plus 4 for our final answer. All right, 2 more problems. Okay, here we're double distributing. Okay, so we're taking the 3 and multiplying it by the 2 terms in the parentheses here, and then we're taking the 4 and multiplying it by the two terms in the parentheses there. So it becomes negative 3 times 4x plus, and I'm going to write it as a negative 3 times 3 plus 4 times 6x plus 4 times 1. Okay, negative 12x when we start simplifying, minus 9 plus 24x plus 4. Okay, now when we combine our like terms, we've got a negative 12, positive 24, so we have a positive 12x, and then we have our negative 9 plus 4 is a negative 5. There's our answer there. All right, and last but not least, we're going to distribute the negative 3. So this is going to be a negative 3 times negative 2. All right, and then a negative 3 times m, and then minus 27. Okay, 7m plus 6 minus 3m minus 27. We combine our like terms. 7m minus 3m is 4m. And then we have our 6 minus 27 is minus 21. Okay, so that's it for the notes today. Make sure you go through 3B and that study guide. Compare it to the answer key that's going to be posted on Schoology, and you should be good to go. Thanks. Bye.